The base is dropped a little later than normal, but it happens. Soccer Down here. It's Tuesday Thoughts, April 30th. It's a lovely Tuesday morning in the Atlanta area. About as perfect of a morning as you can get, honestly, weather-wise. Not too hot, not too cold, sunny, beautiful day. Hopefully it continues that way. Let's get into, John, first why we're a little late. Because everybody has to deal with car problems from time to time. It happens. We all do it. Mechanics, don't open super early. And when you have a trusted mechanic, you are on their time. Because
and you gonna wait.
Yeah, but it's when you have that trusted mechanic, that's where you go. That's one of the things that as I got older and dealt with different cars and different car issues, having a trusted mechanic wherever you are is one of the most important things you can have.
Check.
It's vital. I mean, it's like doctor, mechanic, it's right up there. It's a big deal. So,
well, that's like it's a doctor for your car, so it's the same thing.
Yeah. The mechanic and hey, they are not I wish they would give me a break on the price, but they're not going to because I don't think they listen to the show. Roger Jordan Garage over on DeKalb Avenue. They have taken care of me for years, and I think this is I think it's the fourth different car I've taken to them.
Oh wow.
A long period of time. It's the first time the Kia Soul has visited the Jordan family. But, you get some brake issues. You got to get the car looked at. So that was my first 30 minutes of the morning. That's where I was.
Nope. I'm down with that because Dale up at Japanese Motorsports off of
ding, ding, ding.
Buford Highway up in Duluth has been taking care of the Beast ever since the Beast came across the state line. And then Dale is top notch, and he knows that I'm just trying to keep the Beast alive, and does what he needs to do. And Dale is a mechanic stud when it comes to keeping the Beast operational.
Yeah, you gotta like a mechanic who is not going to try to rip you off, and they know the situation, they know your situation, they know what you're trying to do with the car, and they're not gonna give you a line to try to get you to spend just more money with them.
No.
You need to find that mechanic if you don't have it.
Yes. The last substantive repair that the Beast had last year, now that the Beast is heading toward 350,000 miles for a 23-year-old car. When I would turn the power steering, and sometimes power steering kind of moans and groans a little bit, but every single time I would turn power steering, you would have this massive noise, and it didn't matter what direction it was, and then the noise would just be all over the place. And so I take it up there, and Dale said, "Oh, okay, here's the deal. The power steering fluid had a leak, and it was leaking onto the manifold. And he basically said, okay, if you don't get this repaired, there could be the opportunity for the car to catch on fire."
You don't want that.
No. So I took it up to Dale, and Dale fixed it. Had to replace the entire column, and $550 later, I had a car that was perfectly fine when it came to power steering. But for a 23-year-old car, it's now oil adds every 3,000 miles instead of oil changes, and just because of the leaks in the system, and I'm not going to get the entire thing replaced. So he puts up with it, and there are sensor lights that come on that are probably going to have to be reset so I can do certain things with the car that you have to do on a yearly basis to make sure it passes inspection.
Yes.
And so that's where we are with the Beast at the age of 23.
Well, the Soul is not 23. The Soul is 5 years old now. The Soul's about to be paid off this month, which is pretty sweet. I dig that, and it's been great. So Kia has been very good to me. Roger Jordan Garage has been very good to me, and hopefully my brakes will be not grinding a little bit when I pick it up. Hopefully later today. It's worth the wait. Anyway, That's why we're a little bit late today. So my apologies. My Kia Soul apologizes as well. But busy weekend around the world of American soccer, because it wasn't just MLS. It was USL Championship and League One. It was NWSL final weekend before women's national team players for the U.S. and Canada leave their clubs and start preparing. So they're going to miss a lot of the season. We'll get into all that as we go to. We'll also get into your Tuesday thoughts, and you guys know the drill by now, how Tuesdays and Thursdays go. We get into some deeper topics and things that pop up that you guys have on your mind. And let's go off script and start with Nathan Pugh. So Nathan has a tweet that says, American soccer, ... My interest has waned over the years. Perhaps there isn't a standout icon, and in parentheses, Pulisic, all you want, he doesn't do it for me. I'd like to know, and we'll get Nathan to chime in. I'm assuming he's talking about the national team when he brings up Pulisic.
He is. He has a follow-up.
Okay, what's the follow-up?
Perhaps the last World Cup cycle stole my vigor. Perhaps I'm tired of Altidore. Perhaps the international matches arrive during the calendar when I'd rather watch club footy. Overall, doesn't move the needle for me anymore. I want it to, though. # Tuesday Thoughts.
I wondered when this would happen in the United States, and I'll look at it from a historical and very 5,000 miles above the ground look here. I think the national team was more important in American soccer for a long time, more important than anything else, because it was the only real connection. Before MLS became more established, before, really anything else, that was what you had. I mean, as a kid, me growing up, I remember seeing some random MISL games. I remember reading about the APSL and the Western Soccer League in Soccer America, but I remember watching the U.S. men's national team in qualifying matches, first for the Olympics in '88, because some of those ended up on ESPN, because that was the senior national team. Since some countries weren't as competitive, they just said, "Yeah, go ahead, field your whole national team. It's all good. We don't care." So it was the full U.S. senior national team in Olympic qualifying and then World Cup qualifying. And the home games were on ESPN. And I specifically will always remember watching the game in Trinidad that they did get on ESPN. I think it was on a slight delay, if I'm not mistaken, with JP Delacamera and Seamus Mallon calling Paul Caligiuri's goal that qualified the U.S. for the World Cup for the first time in 40 years. That was what you had. You didn't have a pro team to follow day in and day out. You had the national team, and every time there was a match, great. And also, then the lead up to 94, the national team was essentially a club team because they trained on a regular basis. You had a lot of guys who were just under contract to the federation, not to clubs. You did have, the rare exceptions with a John Harkes, who went to England and played for Sheffield Wednesday. Tab Ramos went to Spain and played in the second division. You had a few other guys. Eric Winalda went to Germany. You had a few guys who went, but a lot of them stayed and trained like a club team. So they played friendlies like a club team, kind of like the women have done before the NWSL has really taken hold. So the national team was everything about American soccer. Now, as MLS has grown, it's become more important because it's daily. It's day to day. You're talking about, well, why isn't Atlanta United scoring goals? What should the lineup be? Who are they going to go get in the transfer window? Who should they have gotten in the last transfer window? What's the next big drama with Atlanta United? And that's just in Atlanta. Every city has that to some degree. That's why I think in other countries, the national team's not as important as the U.S. national team used to be here. I do think the last World Cup cycle, kind of drained some of that attention as well. I think the whole Altidore Bradley stuff is part of the last World Cup cycle. I think all of that is all part of the same issue. The international matches now, club soccer has taken over, where In the past, it was, okay, cool, we got an international window, we get to see these guys all play. Now it's, well, I get to see them play on a weekly basis. I don't need to break up my league play. I think it's really starting to change. And in Atlanta, it has definitely changed.
I mean, think about the growth of the sport in general. I mean, and being 107 years old, for me, starting off, it was watching the North American Soccer League. And I specifically remember the jersey swap that Pele had in his last match, New York Cosmos. I want to say it was against Seattle. And Jimmy McAndrew is the guy that sticks into my mind as to who got the swap jersey with Pele when that was over. I was back in my grandparents' bedroom because I wanted the TV as loud as humanly possible, and I was watching that match. Then I gravitated toward the MISL on USA, and that's where all of my Steve Jungle, Stan Stamenkovic, Branko Radovic, Victor Nogueira, Slobo Ilievsky references come from.
I knew two of them.
From some watching. You need two Slobo Ilievskys?
No, I knew two of those.
Oh, you knew two of those. So, I mean, that's where it was for me. Kim Rontvid in Wichita. And so I was locked into the MISL. But now you had that time frame where, because of the lack of national league and saturation, everybody was drawn to the national team. And now, I mean, in Atlanta, in the Southeast, you're locked into Atlanta United. In Nashville, you're paying attention to Nashville SC. In Asheville, you're paying attention to what's going on at Asheville City.
Well, no, I disagree. I think in Asheville, you're not seeing players pulled away from your club. In Nashville, True. You're not really seeing that yet. So I don't think it's the same thing in other cities. I do think where you're seeing players pulled away from your club, and you'd rather see your club play, because Asheville and Nashville, they're going to play during the international break. It doesn't break your league up. So I don't think that's the same. I think it's MLS cities that are fully engaged have a different relationship with the national team than they did before.
I agree.
Yeah, I think there are some differences. Now, in those other cities, like, is the club a very big deal? Yeah. And also, let's be real about this. If the U.S. goes into 2022 in that World Cup and makes a run to the quarterfinals, everybody will be on board.
No doubt.
That's what England was this past year. And what do you always hear, fans of the Premier League, is, the international break. I hate the international break. We don't need the international break. But then when there is something compelling, and it is a World Cup typically, it can be a European Championship or a Copa America or a Gold Cup or what have you. But when your national team has that moment, you're back on board and you're riding the horse. You're ready to go.
No doubt.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I think that with the growth of MLS, I think that you have more markets that are paying attention to their local teams, and then when you have those players, if players go off and play for their national teams, then I think there's that interest. But I think that you have folks who are locked into their local teams first when it comes to especially how the league has grown over the last couple of years. And I also think that the U.S. not being in the last World Cup, I think, has a lot to do with it, too. I think that you have a lot of frustrated national fans who want to see the team be in every World Cup cycle. But I think that this last World Cup cycle turned them off. And it's going to take something, it's going to take them popping back in and getting back into a World Cup cycle for folks to be engaged. I think right now it's just, okay, do your thing. And then when you get closer, we'll get interested.
The Gold Cup will have, I think, a good effect on it. And if it's a good Gold Cup, that will help rebuild, I think, the interest in the national team. Back to the other part of what Nathan said about Pulisic doesn't do it for him. There is a bit of an issue, and honestly, there has been for a long, long time, in who is that superstar that you rally around from the U.S. program. It was Landon Donovan for a long time was that, but Landon wasn't a guy who was out doing a ton of endorsements and out, talking a lot. That wasn't really his personality. Clint Dempsey was that guy for a lot of people, and he played with that swagger. He didn't really have that swagger off the field. He's a quiet guy. He doesn't want to do that stuff. You didn't have a Mia Hamm on the men's side. And honestly, have you ever had a Mia Hamm on the men's side?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And I don't think to this point Christian Pulisic is that. And Mia wasn't one who really loved to do the media stuff. She did because she understood that it was necessary. And she's given plenty of interviews to talk about that. She wasn't comfortable doing it, but she would go on Letterman because the program needed it.
Yeah.
On the men's side, you haven't had that. I mean, you can go through them for all the other teams, that focal point. Wayne Rooney for a long time for England. James with Colombia, Messi with Argentina, Ronaldo with Portugal. And it's not about being that good. It's about being that focal point. You haven't had that. And I think that does play into it. And I don't think there's one on the way up right now either. From what we've seen so far, I don't think Pulisic is that person. I don't think there's another one of the up-and-coming young talents is that person. Tyler Adams isn't that person. And it's not to say that you have to have that person, but it helps.
Yeah, I don't think that there is that person that has that gravitational attraction to turn it into a must-see event on television. It's like, so-and-so's on a talk show. So-and-so's on Jimmy Fallon. Oh, I'll go watch. So-and-so's on...
I don't think you've ever had a men's national team player who has been like that.
No, I don't think you have.
You've had some on the women's side that have been like that have had that star power. Alex Morgan, Mia Hamm. You've had that. Abby Wambach. You've had those figures on the women's side. You haven't had them on the men's side. It's an interesting thing, and it goes back to something Josie Altidore said about players having personality and being like some NBA players and what that looks like. And I know people will bring up Zlatan and his actions from the weekend. And, yeah, I mean, Zlatan makes you pay attention. Absolutely, whether you like him or you don't. And that's, that is a degree of this. Josie Altidore is a player that has more people who it feels like don't like him than do like him. But he's a lightning rod, and he does get your attention. You'd like to have somebody who gets your attention in a positive way. And I don't know who that is in a men's U.S. shirt right now. I'm curious to see who it is on the women's side this summer. I still think Alex Morgan is probably the most recognizable figure in the women's national team. From a playing standpoint, I think Tobin Heath is starting to grab a lot of that attention in the more hardcore soccer fan section of the fan base.
Megan Rapinoe?
I think Rapinoe is that to a degree. I'd say that Morgan is probably a bigger star. I think Carly Lloyd still gets some of that based off her performance 4 years ago, although she's going to be in a different role this time. I want to see who the breakout is. Who is that breakout person? I mean, because Rapinoe was that before, and it was probably the World Cup and the Olympics prior to 15, where Rapinoe became a focal point going into 15. I'm really curious to see how that plays out. And on the men's side, like this summer, I have no idea. Gold Cup, I don't know who. If you're designing the commercials and you're Fox and it's like, all right, CONCACAF Gold Cup, must watch. Who are we pulling? All right, Chicharito. Yep. U.S., who are we pulling? Pulisic? I mean,
yeah.
I think it has to be.
I think it has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you can't force it. Like it's just kind of something that is there or not there with people and with players, and we'll see when the U.S. gets that person and how much of an effect that has on people being interested in watching the U.S. men's national team. I also think qualifying for the World Cup and having a run in the World Cup and having a run in the Gold Cup this year will also have a big role in all of that too. And we'll see how all of that plays out this summer. Let's take a break. Let's come back and recap the weekend in Major League Soccer. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Slightly delayed show today, but we'll try to make it up with some decent quality for you. That's all we can promise. You know, we do our best. Jason Longshore, John Nelson.
We like
this
mechanics.
Mechanics are good. Good mechanics that you trust are even better. Let's talk about MLS from the weekend. There were some interesting results this weekend. There were some interesting stories that emerged. Just run through them in chronological order. Some matches we'll dig deeper into than others. Yankee Stadium was the first match of the weekend. NYCFC 1-1 Orlando. Orlando could have won it if Dom Dwyer hadn't missed a wide-open header, but he's been doing that a lot lately, and he's also been starting on the bench a lot lately, which is a whole other incident. That's a good point for Orlando. NYC had been playing well.
Yes.
And, I mean, they're continuing to play well. Let's not throw NYC completely under the bus here. They've got 7 points in their last 3 matches. That's a pretty good run in 3 matches.
No, but I think that we've seen what Abear/Matricha and Abear and Matricha at points could be for NYCFC. You know, Abear gets the goal on the board for NYCFC, plays full 90. I think he played 60-plus in his first match for the side. So, you know, I think that you're seeing the growth of what could be with Abear and Matricha up top.
Yeah, I mean, NYC played midweek. Orlando didn't. So, you know, NYC didn't have the same type of legs that the Lions did. They come back, get the goal early in the second half to get the 1-1. That's a match where I think both are pretty happy at the end with the point. You take that and you go home and you move on to the next one.
Yep.
Toronto, not happy. They lost at home 2-1 to Portland, who is finally starting to put it together, and Jeremy Abobasi is a big part of that. The talk is still bringing in Brian Fernandez from Necaxa, and we'll keep an eye on any kind of a suspension that could be emerging out of Liga MX. If you didn't hear yesterday's show, Fernandez was caught on video spitting in the general direction of Monterrey fans who were taunting him and ridiculous and able to get way too close to the point they threw a cup at him after he spit in their general direction, after lots of things were said. Nobody looked good in the whole situation. We'll see if there's a suspension that would carry over to his Portland Timbers time. Fernandez is also not a guy who's a straight-up number 9. He's a guy that you could play Ebobisse as the 9, Fernandez, Blanco, Valeri all around Ebobisse and have a ridiculous attack. I still think the Timbers have to improve defensively, but 2 goals here. They hold Toronto to 1. Toronto gets the opening goal. Tuiloma with a ridiculous volley in the 22nd, 2 minutes after Osorio opens it up, and then Ebobisse with the diving header in the 70th. Portland, maybe, starting to figure things out.
Yeah, and I think that after the result in Columbus, turning around quickly and getting full points in Toronto, and maybe they are just that one player away. And you sit there and you would have. I honestly thought, and I will put my hand up in the air and sit there and go, I thought Toronto had this one.
They should have
the stack of the roster. With what Pozuelo has been able to do. With Jordan Hamilton coming up and showing flashes, swear to God, I had Toronto in this one, and it didn't happen. So now I'm confused this week about what Toronto FC brings to the table.
Well, you can't get too confused because their defensive issues have been their defensive issues. They really, I think, need to go find an additional center back in the summer window because Hagelin's gone. Drew Moore's getting older and breaking down more often now. Mavinga can't do everything. I think they need another center back moving forward. And also Josie Altidor's out. And look, they're just a different team when he's not in the team. They don't have a like-for-like replacement, and that's another thing that you don't have to spend crazy money on because you've committed to Josie for another, 3 years. He's 28. He's not going to play 34 matches a game, though, or a season. You know that. You know he's going to have these moments with hamstrings and other nagging injuries where you have to sit him. Go get another big body number 9 that can somewhat replicate him so you can play in a similar fashion. You don't have it. You didn't have it with Toussaint Ricketts, but at least Ricketts gave you something. Right now, you are not the same team when Josie's not in the lineup. You're nowhere close, and that's a problem.
No.
Toronto's got to figure that out because he's not playing every match.
No, and I know they're looking at Ayo Akinola as a part of the answer.
Not there yet.
No.
He's not ready for that yet, and I'm honestly not sure if he's that guy. I think he might be maybe more of a wide player. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he's the like-for-like replacement for Josie. I think he might be part of an answer. I don't think he is the answer.
But that's their problem. That's the issue. It can't be part of an answer.
Yeah.
They got to have an answer. That's why they're doing this. You can't do a piecemeal for a guy that is not playing 34 games a season for you. If you get, in all competitions, 25 out of Josie, and he gives you 12 goals a season, 25 games a season, maybe in all competitions you can get that closer to 30 if you're playing 40-plus games a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Double-digit goals, that's what you want out of him. You can't ask for a whole lot more, and you know that he's not going to give you a consistent start every game. You got to have somebody. It can't be, well, maybe here, we'll try this. No, that's the problem. They're too different of a team without him. We'll see if they get it figured out. I think the summer window is a big one for Toronto. They need to figure out these holes because they're a team that can win the East.
Yeah.
They just have some holes that they've got to answer to.
Separate congratulations, by the way, for Josie.
Yes. Oh, yes. Josie Altidore engaged to tennis star Sloane Stephens.
Yes,
Very nice.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. Maybe the potential kids will either be tennis stars or soccer stars. That would be pretty amazing for either sport.
Can you imagine the DNA?
Can you imagine the pressure? There's going to be a lot of pressure on those children. We'll see what happens, but congrats to Josie and Sloane. Dallas hosted San Jose. Scoreless draw. San Jose has become a very difficult team to defeat. Matias Almeida is just consistently getting the job done. Tactically, he just, the style right now, it's making teams change what they do. It's causing problems. I think for Dallas, they probably come out of this more disappointed. San Jose's pretty happy with getting the point.
28 crosses to 4 San Jose in the match.
San Jose had more crosses or Dallas?
San Jose 28 to 4 in crosses.
It's not good. But San Jose first is, I mean, I don't, what do you make of that then? What are you taking out of that?
I'm stunned at the number, and I'm stunned at the difference. To me, it's just, you look like that 28 crosses in general, you're sitting there going, okay, then the only thing that you thought you could do was just try to send it in and see what could happen, and nothing happened.
Well, I look at San Jose, though. I mean, when you have the forwards that they have in the air, you can do that. And when you're trying to stretch a team out the way that they try to do, and you're trying to create those 1v1 opportunities, you can do that. Danny Houston is a player that, yeah, I'm gonna put in crosses to Danny Houston. You get Godoy forward in his role. Yeah, I'm going to put crosses into Godoy. Now, it didn't work, but you didn't concede either. And again, you're on the road. So San Jose getting the point here, they're fine. If that's where the attack was, and you're built to do it, and I think San Jose is a team that you're trying to create 1v1s all over the field.
Yes.
And if I have a 1v1 opportunity with a player that I like in the air, I'm going to try to feed him. And if I get it 28 times to try to do that, okay, that's what the game gave me. If I can break a team down in the middle and create the 1v1s with a ball on the ground, I'm going to try to find that. San Jose, their game is not built around anything from, okay, we're going to try to control possession. Okay, we're going to try to work it down the right flank. We're going to try to do this. Their game is create 1v1s everywhere. Everywhere. Defensively, we're going to step to everybody 1v1. We'll leave one guy with the ball. We'll have one free guy defensively. Everything else, it's 1v1. And yes, it's not strict to where if Ryan Hollingshead goes to grab a drink of water on the sideline that somebody's going to go over and follow him. It's not like that. They do pass players off from time to time. But it's 1v1 everywhere. So you're trying to create 1v1s. So from an attacking perspective for San Jose, it's where's the 1v1 I like today? Is it getting by a Ryan Hollingshead and putting in crosses with Christian Espinoza? Is it, overloading that side and when you get Hollingshead 1v1 with Espinoza, getting Tommy Thompson to make that run around and get free? If that's what you've identified in that match, cool. If that's what's showing up in the match, cool. If you identify that and then, hey, Shea Salinas is really working Reggie Cannon 1v1, keep feeding Shea Salinas. San Jose's identity is not built around crosses or not crosses. It's built around creating 1v1s and taking advantage of the best 1v1s you create. One game it'll be a bunch of crosses, one game it'll be a bunch of through balls, one game it'll be, something else. That's just who they are. So 28, I don't care. That's fine. It didn't work in this one, but you also kept the clean sheet and you got a point, which you're going to be happy with in the long run.
And I did not start Daniel Vega in that.
Well, generally, I'm not starting San Jose defensive players because this style can get wiped out. If you're not winning your 1v1s, you're going to give up goals. You don't have much of a safety valve. So I'm going to, from a fantasy perspective, and that's something that we have to talk about, and I think fans in general have to talk about. If you're going to have a conversation about fantasy, have a conversation about fantasy soccer. If you're going to have a conversation about soccer, have a conversation about soccer.
Yes.
They're not the same thing.
No.
So, no, from a fantasy perspective, I'm not starting Daniel Vega because San Jose has a risk of giving up 3-4 goals sometimes. He's a risky option. But from what they do on the field, they create chaos and are getting results right now, and they're making teams have to change who they are. That's a good thing. The Quakes are a problem right now in the Western Conference. Vancouver, not really a problem in the Western Conference. They hosted Philadelphia. They did get a 1-1 draw at home. I don't know how happy the Whitecaps are with draws at home at this stage. I think for Philly, that's okay. You'll take it.
Take the point and go.
Philly, I'm still, the jury's out a little bit. I do think they're putting together building blocks that could serve them well over time. You're starting to see a little more tactical flexibility. You're starting to see them figure out some ways to get the best out of Medunjanin in the lineup, but not leaving him exposed. Where Alejandro Bedoya fits into it, they've hit on Brendan Aronson being a key part of this team going forward. We'll see if he goes to the U20 World Cup with the U.S. You've added Jamiro Montero now, a little more going forward. You're okay. Philly is a team that right now is a playoff team. Are they a contender? I don't think so. But they're a playoff team. And playoff teams can become contenders over time. See what the Union end up becoming this season. I'm not sure where to slot them just yet in the Eastern Conference.
No. I'm looking at them toward the bottom of the playoff run. Somewhere in that 5, 6, 7. You get a healthy Kasper Przybylko, and he gets the goal for them on the road. And like I said, take the point and go. That's going all the way across country to play in Vancouver and getting a point. Take it.
Red Bulls got 3 points at home against Cincinnati. 1-0 win. Connor Lade with a great goal in the 38th minute. Big story here was Chris Armas shaking things up lineup-wise and shape-wise. He pulled one out of the Jesse Marsh playbook that worked really well in 2017, where he went to more of a 3-3-3-1 with Brian White up top. No Bradley Wright Phillips. He went with Amro Tarek, Aaron Long, Tim Parker as your 3 center backs. Alex Muil, Connor Lade were your wing backs in the next line of 3. You had a pretty flexible group with Sean Davis, with Mark Shatkovsky, with Daniel Royer, with Omer Fernandez in that next group of 3. Davis sitting a little bit deeper generally. It worked. And they've done this before, and it's worked, and it can be effective from a pressing perspective. Also, Cincinnati, I think, was pretty naive. It's very difficult to play a possession style and pass through the Red Bulls, even when they're not on their best form, and that's what Cincinnati kind of tried to do here. They need to get back to simplifying things, I think. I think when Cincinnati's looked their best this season, it's been pretty simple. It's been sit, it's been defend, it's been counter, it's get Kenny safe in open space, it's use the speed of a Kakuta Mane, Roland Lamah, Darren Maddox, get guys out running on the break. You're not going to be a possession team right now. They just don't have that. And when they try to do it, I think it's a problem.
I look at Cincinnati, and as a first-year team for me, I've always, when you're the new guy, don't try to outthink the room. And I think that there are times when FC Cincinnati tries to outthink the room. So we've seen what they can do. We've seen what they can do to get full points. We've seen what they can do to get points on the road. Go back to that individual. You don't have to sit there and try to outthink yourself and get yourself tangled in knots mentally and not get a point on the road at the very least.
It's not about getting yourself tangled mentally. I mean, they did what they wanted to do. They just didn't do it better than the Red Bulls. And even with that, they did hit the post a couple times late. They did have some chances late. The Red Bulls were better. They weren't exactly good. I think Cincinnati could have been better if they were a little more coherent in what's worked. They weren't. Neither team really comes out of this looking great. Cincinnati, just for me, they just need to simplify things. Red Bulls, they get 3 points, but they're still not looking great. I want to see if they stick with the 3-3-3-1 going forward, if they keep with that since it worked here. We'll have to see what they do this week. Houston with a nice 2-0 win over Columbus at home. It's what teams need to do at home. You win 2-0, you control it comfortably. You get an outstanding goal from Tomas Martinez after a third-minute goal from Mauro Manotas that was a little lucky. Minota somehow drags the foot to get a touch to bring the ball into the net. The pass was behind him a little bit. Minota set up the second goal, and then Martinez with a blast. Crew gets shut out. Columbus 4-5-1 this season. Houston 5-1-1. I still think Houston is a contender in the Western Conference. I think they're going to go under the radar with what's going on with both of the LA teams and Seattle, and that's a good thing for the Dynamo. The Crew, they're just not that great at the moment, and they're missing Harrison Awful, and they're going to miss him for a while, and that's had a huge impact. They have not looked like the same team since he got hurt.
Yeah, and I think that, Houston, you look at the guys from the middle and up top, and I think this is, for me, looking at this starting 11, first time in a long time, at least in my staring at the roster that you've seen, Alise, Memo, Martinez, Manotas, and then Juan David Cabezas comes in at the end. But just the fact that you had all those guys around, and there's no dings, there's no injuries, and I think that this is who Houston can be. And I think that, everybody's going to be staring at the shiny object in Los Angeles, shiny objects, and they're going to be paying attention to Seattle because they're a shiny object. And Houston, I think, has a chance to do very well without a whole lot of attention being garnered to them. And I think that, to your point, I think it'll be a good thing for them to just kind of focus on what's going on in front of them with everybody healthy.
Well, more importantly, Houston has added depth. Cabezas did not play, was not in the 18 here. Boniek Garcia has turned back the clock, and he's fulfilled that role really well. Matias Vera has been a very nice addition to this team. Memo Rodriguez is playing a lot more. Sorry, Cabezas was in the 18. He didn't start. But you're getting performances out of guys like Adam Lundqvist at left back. You brought in Minor Figueroa. I thought it might not be a good signing, but you're playing him as a center back, and he's
McNamara
formed a good partnership with Struna. McNamara's in the 18, yes. That's he's played. You've added some depth, and you're getting good performances out of that depth, and you're not 100% with your best lineup right now. And this was the issue for them going, into the past, where they had to be at their best with their best 11 to compete. They're finding ways to do that now without it, and that's really impressive, and we'll see if the Dynamo can continue it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll go through the rest of the MLS schedule from the weekend, the wild 4-4 draw in Kansas City. We'll get into that one, but we do have a tweet on a Tuesday Thoughts kind of day from the Swickster we'll get into right after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Tuesday Thoughts edition of the show. We have a Tuesday Thought submitted from Robert Swick, longtime listener, who tweets, first shares our buddy Teodal Football's tweet. The, quote, Joseph needs to start scoring or else, unquote, people. Every year without fail, I guess. Swickster came in and said, I'm not in the Joseph needs to score or else boat so much as the FDB needs to take the handcuffs off of Joseph boat. I don't know what boat that is. I don't know. Robert, I'm not trying to pick on you. I don't know what boat that is. I don't know how the manager is keeping Joseph Martinez from getting chances. I mean, let's look at the numbers here. And you've got 7 matches in league play to look at. I'd have to go back and compile everything if you include the CONCACAF matches in it. But he's right on his average for shots per game. 2017, he averaged 3.3 shots per game. 2018, 2.7. And 2019, 3 shots per game. Shots from outside the box, 0.7, which is it's a lot higher than last year, which was 0.2. But he took 0.7 shots per game in 2017 from outside the box. The biggest difference is right now he's not getting those chances in the 6-yard box. That's the biggest difference right now. And I think they're coming. I think they were there on Saturday. I thought the service was much better from Breck Shea, from Pity Martinez. I don't think Escobar gave Joseph a chance on the 6 or in the 6 or on the edge of the 6. There was a sequence with a couple chances that I don't know if it was just mistimed or what, but it felt like the ball was there for Joseph to slam into the back of the net, as we've seen so many times, and it just wasn't there. Shots in the 18, it's right around the normal average. He's on the same pace as he had last year with 2.1 shots inside the 18, 2.3 in 2017. So the biggest difference right now, and this is your margin we're talking about. 2017, he had 0.3 shots per game inside the 6. 2018, 0.5 shots per game inside the 6, which is very high. And 2019, 0.1. He's not getting those shots inside the 6. The rest of it, he's getting about the same number of chances as he always gets. I don't think there's any handcuffs on Joseph. I think he's actually more free to play and find the game and be involved than he's ever been. I think his game is more expansive. It'd be the opposite of taking the handcuffs, putting handcuffs on him. I think if you want to look at it as to try to get him back to 2018 form, don't have him get as involved in those things. Tell him to stay higher in the formation and not get involved in the buildup. Don't look for those extra 15, 20 touches per game. Don't. Just stay in the 18. Just stay around the 18. Be a poacher. That's really the only thing here. That's the biggest difference, is he's more involved. The other side is, look, he's being defended tighter. He said so himself. He's got to figure that out, whether it's making different runs, whether it's getting in sync with Gressel, with Shea, with Pity, with Barco, with Escobar, with Bello when he gets back into the team, and working on new movement in the 18 to elude what's generally happening, where with teams playing 3 center backs, they've got 2 that are dealing with Joseph. Okay, you got to figure those things out. I don't think the managers put any handcuffs on Joseph. That doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for it. You're not adding another forward. Now, that's another way if you want to take some pressure off of Joseph. You figure out a way to play 2 up top, but then who would that be? Would Tito give you enough of a difference to play him there in the same spaces? Would it just distract the defenders? Would you want to go to a Romario Williams in that type of role? It does give you a different body type and a different game, although Romario plays more like Joseph than a guy of his size. I don't know exactly how it's DeBoer's issue now in terms of Joseph. I think it's a combination of he's 100% a known quantity at this stage, and he's not finishing well. He's just not in form at the moment.
Swixter came back with a response.
Okay.
Shots are level, but the shot conversion rate is 9.5% instead of 32.
Sure.
Shots on goal are down from about 1.6 to 1 today. And he says, that tells me as a whole and as a team we're taking shots, which raises the XG, but they are low percentage, hence the lack of actual goals.
Yeah, but and this is where I think, God, you get so dug into numbers here. Joseph's not taking a bunch of shots at a greater rate from outside the 18. If Joseph is getting shots in the 18, take them. If he's getting looks inside the 18, shoot. Any forward, you're getting looks inside the 18, have it. Period. He's getting the same looks. He's not converting at the same level, but I don't think that's a statistical thing. I think it's a quality thing at the moment. I think he's just not converting. I really don't think that this is a managerial thing. Even if you take all of this at face value that, okay, he's not getting as high quality of shots. Okay. Is that all on Frank DeBoer? I don't think it is. I think now you're getting more play, and this has been building. Again, this is any team that is going to play in this way, you're never at your best in game one. You build. Every team that plays in this type of way, which is, you're looking at your Ajaxes, you're looking at your Barcelonas, you're looking at your teams and your clubs and your managers that have influences from Johan Cruyff, from Louis van Gaal, from Pep Guardiola, and so on and so forth. You get better over time because the movement becomes second nature. The passing becomes second nature. I think that's coming. I think the team in the very beginning of the season looked like they were thinking too much on the field. I don't think that's happening as much now. It's better. Recently, I don't think the issue is not getting Joseph opportunities. I think it's he's not converting them. And that happens. That's the whole point of the Joseph needs to score goals or else. Like, come on, really? Seriously? The guy hasn't shown you enough at this point? Every striker goes through down periods. Every striker has these types of moments. You keep feeding them. You keep getting him going. You don't see strikers of this quality in general completely forget how to score goals. They're going to come, but you have to keep feeding him. And I think looking at it this way, Robert, I feel like we're trying to find something that's not there. I really do in terms of Joseph here. I don't think there's anything the manager would be trying to do to put handcuffs on Joseph. I disagree with that. And I know, look, I get it. Frank DeBoer's not Tata Martino. This team's playing in a different way. Completely understandable. They're not getting the results that people want. Understandable. There is a process in place, and I think to play the way that the manager and the club who hired him want to play, it takes time. We go back to 2018 when this team won the Cup. Tata Martino made adjustments throughout the season. He came in wanting to play three in the back. He got away from that because he couldn't press the way he wanted to with three in the back, and there was a specific press conference where he talked about that. I was having this conversation with Jarrett Smith over the weekend. He said, look, I can't press the same way out of three in the back. So you started going back to the 4-2-3-1. You started having some more defensive issues. You went to a third guy in the back, but you tried to play in a possession way. That wasn't going to win the Cup, and you made the change, and you got defensive, and you won the MLS Cup playoffs, and you won the Cup. He made adjustments. They didn't play one way the whole way. They had to get better as the year went on, and he ultimately had to make the difficult decision that everything we have worked on is not going to succeed at the end of the day. I need to change to win this trophy. And he did. We're 7 games into the MLS season, and I think the expectation is that this team would be playing like a team that's about to win a trophy. And the history shows that Atlanta United did something that's very difficult, and they changed the way they played in the postseason, period, and they won a trophy. But to expect them to be at that level this early with a new way of playing, a new style of playing, it's not a dramatic difference, and I know that's something that gets harped on a lot. It's not completely and utterly changing who Atlanta United is. Last year they wanted to dominate possession. That was the idea. I remember having a conversation in preseason that, man, they were 53% possession or so in 2017, and with bringing in Nagbe, with bringing in Barco, you want guys who are comfortable on the ball. You know teams are going to sit deeper. This is a team that could have 60% of the possession. They didn't quite get there, but they were a team that dominated possession last year. You're just trying to do it in a little bit different way and add more wrinkles to it here. What needs to continue to happen for me is the third man making the run off the ball, the additional runner to open things up, and there's a very specific sequence from Saturday that showed that it's starting to happen. Franco Escobar made the additional run after Barco made the left-to-right dribble across the top of the 18. That has to happen more. This team does get too static at times in possession. They have to make those runs off the ball, and especially the unpredictable run off the ball to open things up. That has to happen. The other thing that has to happen more is when they lose possession in their attacking third, they have to switch to press to defend faster. Those are not building blocks at the beginning of a process. Those are things that come with time. I feel like they're coming. I feel like this team is getting better. I do feel like one thing that's holding them back right now is Joseph is not confident. He's not finishing at the rate that he did last year. It happens. Need to get him going. Need to get him some goals. Keep feeding him. That's the way he's going to get goals. Keep feeding him in the way that they have the last couple weeks. Some of these chances that were like, wow, Joseph didn't fit. How did what? I feel like it's going to change. It just, you have to keep at it. But I disagree that there's handcuffs on Joseph. I don't think that's the case at all, because the numbers are so similar so far, and it is a small sample size, I know, and we'll see over time. But I feel like if Joseph gets a couple goals, things are going to start to turn pretty quickly, and I think it's just converting chances at this point. Let's take a break. First hour in the books. We'll finish up our MLS recap from the weekend. We'll get into more of your Tuesday thoughts right after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Soccer Down here. Tuesday Thoughts. We've got some thoughts flowing on the timeline. These things happen from time to time. We'll finish recapping MLS as we go. Don't worry about it. Tafka chimes in on the thought du jour. He says about Joseph, it's the way we are playing. So many of Joseph's shots and goals were a transition goal, where Joseph pressures the space behind the back line. The way we play now, there's very little space behind the back line when the final pass is attempted. Some of that's the opposition and the way that this team is being defended. You're not able to get in transition against teams that are playing 5-4-1, playing 5 in the back, playing a deep line, playing a deep block. There's no space to transition into. The other thing, I think, is you don't have Miguel Almiron to lead that transition. It's different. Miguel Almiron could flip the field immediately with his speed and his pace. You don't have that. You're not trying to be a strictly transition team where that's the only way you look dangerous. You're trying to be a team that controls possession and creates chances. You have players that are doing that now, that took them some time to do that. That's how the best teams play. I don't think the best teams on a regular basis over a long period of time, you do have some who do it, but I think in general, only looking for transition is limiting. I think that's what Tata Martino was working towards. I honestly don't think that this team this year, if Tata Martino was the manager, I don't think they would be looking like all that different from where you are. Now, Tata would have had a longer understanding with the players and known some of the changes that you could make when it wasn't working. Yeah, because you have that institutional history with it. He would have known what buttons to push with certain guys differently. That comes with time. But without Miguel Almiron, you were going to be looking at a different team anyway, period. You were going to be looking at the way things go in a different way. And also, I think with the way that this team is being played now, which happened last year some, but is happening so far to a larger degree, you were going to have to change things up too. So, I don't know. I know that there's all the friction, all the anger, but some of this was coming, period. You had a question, John, about I can't remember what it was.
Well, just, since we were discussing Joseph, and I just wanted to get your perspective on it. From the position that we have in the press box, and it's interesting to see Joseph's defensive work rate this season. And I was just trying to get your perspective on what you've seen when it comes to Joseph or working on the defensive side this year, where he's put in a lot of miles and done a lot of things defensively to break things up. And I was just, wanting to ask you about what you and Mike have seen about Joseph defensively this year.
It looks similar to how it looked in 2017. I think the narrative of Joseph doesn't defend or Joseph is lazy is ridiculous. He's always done this stuff. I think the biggest difference is Joseph is coming out of the final third a little bit more. Joseph is dropping in possession a little bit more into the midfield to get some touches and cycle play that he wasn't doing before. I think it's necessary because of the way teams are sitting deeper. And I have to go back and look at a game like Montreal last year, which was probably the biggest bunker against. I do want to see, okay, did Joseph drop off the line a little bit more in that one? I think he did. Don't quote me on that. I think he did, because it's the normal thing to do. If teams are going to sit deep, it doesn't make sense for Joseph to stand there with two center backs and fight it out with them. He's 5'7". He's got a leaping ability that can get him to the roof of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We know this, but he's 5'7". Doesn't get beat up with 6'3", 6'4" guys all day. You got to move him around. And if they're going to sit deeper to you and stay closer to you, you definitely got to move them around. I think it's just progress. I think it's just progression and changing things up. Kefsey chimed in and said, I rewatched parts of Saturday's game yesterday, and at least 3 balls within Joseph's reach and timing/pace were just off. And I definitely remembered that in the second half, and it was in that 10 minutes before the goal where I thought Atlanta took the game over. And Pitti was heavily involved, Breck Shea was heavily involved, Barco was heavily involved, and you were starting to get that really good service that was just a step off. It's just off. It happens. Kefsey said, believe he nets more of those usually. Someone told me Pitti was being controlled by Frank too, but I think the narrative changes with goals. I don't know. Maybe he is brainwashing players and controlling them at this point. I mean, I'm just baffled by some of this. I think Pitti is so far the other way. Pitti's completely free on the field. I mean, we saw it on Saturday too, where you started with Pitti Martinez in the middle, underneath Joseph, and Barco out wide. As that game went on, you saw them interchange, and you saw Pitti finding space out wide on the left. And I thought the best 10 minutes in that match for Pitti Martinez was the 10 minutes before his substitution where he had drifted out left, and he was getting away from the traffic, and Barco was coming inside more. I thought that's where things worked the best. If players are being controlled and things are rigid, you don't have that interchange. I watched the game back and was watching some of that movement. You were seeing Julian Gressel very free to make runs and go find the game. Joseph Martinez, Pitti Martinez, Ezequiel Barco. In the attack, yes, you're controlling the ball. Yes, there are things you are trying to do from an organizational standpoint. So if you lose it, you're organized behind it. Yes, those things are there. But your front 3, 4, 5, go score goals. Go find the space. Go attack the space. Go get a goal. It's not as rigid as I think some people are trying to portray it. The thing that, against a team like Colorado, and it happened over time in that match, first half it didn't happen enough, was finding space between the lines. I thought Pitti kind of struggled to do that in the first half. Gressel struggled to do it, and when there was space between the lines, I think he struggled to find it. And I thought Barco probably did a pretty good job of getting into those spots, but wasn't seeing the ball in those spots. When they're going to have a line of 5 and a line of 4, you want to find the space between those two lines, but also between the vertical lines in it. And it wasn't happening enough. Second half, I think it was a combination of two things. You started to exploit that space, but you also started to open up more space between the lines with more direct play. That was where you had 42 long balls in the second half, and you had 26 in the first half. You started to open the play up. That opened the gaps between the lines. You exploited it more. That just has to happen a little bit faster. Tofka chimed back in. To a degree, Miggy was a huge factor, and it's the case with bunkering teams. But we definitely play slower, and Gressel had a bunch of those backline beaten passes for goals. Gressel's had a bunch of those backline beating passes that haven't been as good this season. That's happened too. I mean, he had the one against Cincinnati that was a very classic Julian Gressel, Joseph Martinez goal. You've had those moments too. It's not like they're not happening. The quality hasn't been there the same way. Playing slower, teams are sitting deeper. That happens too. I really think that there are just more factors than this, and I do think it's a little unfair to expect this team to be at its best on April 30th. Let's see where they're going to go. And I just think back to so many times where teams that want to play in this style where they dominate games, they have the talent to dominate games, and the opponent knows they have the talent to dominate games, so the opponent's going to sit back more. And you're also trying to control possession, but you're trying to control it in a way that is organized, so you're not getting stretched when the ball turns over, so you're not having those transition opportunities go against you, which we have seen so far this season. you're trying to limit that, yeah, you're controlling possession. Yeah, it can be a little slower at times. It doesn't have to always be slow. And that was what I thought Saturday showed you a little bit, is that they can find those changes of pace. They need to find them faster. They need to find them faster to break teams down faster. Comes with time, though. I don't think that's something that happens overnight.
And that's why I've been one of the people that has kind of sat there and said, okay, I'm being patient with this. I know that there's a growth curve. I know that there's an acquaintance curve. And, when pieces aren't the same and things are tweaked a little bit, it's going to take a little time to get everybody on the same page. And also the book is out on what happened last year. And so you have another group of samples that you can sit there and look at Atlanta United. But, everybody's going to bring a certain game because you're the defending champ. And if it means that you're going to be there like Colorado and you're going to make things completely and totally frustrating, that's just how it's going to be. And you have to try to figure out ways to get around it. That's just, the life of the champ to a certain extent.
It's even more than the life of the champ. It's the life of the team that has a ton of talent. You're going to see teams now that LAFC has blitzed people. And look, Seattle had to do this on Sunday, and this is something to keep in mind here. So we'll skip ahead to the Seattle LAFC game from the weekend. We talked about the red card issues and the referee stuff yesterday. Let's talk about the match. So Seattle tried to play an open game with them at Bank of California, and nope, that didn't work. You get a red card in the 10th minute. What happens when you get a red card? You sit deeper. What happened in this match? LAFC didn't score again against 10 men because Seattle had to sit deeper. Let's see how LAFC handles these things now, because they're going to get teams playing against them that say, we can't run with Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. Sit behind the ball. Let's get numbers back. Let's clog the space. Let's make life difficult for them. And they're going to have to break that down. Now, how do they do that? Let's see how they do it. So LAFC has that talent. The Galaxy are weird because they have the talent. We know what they have. They're winning games. They haven't been exactly convincing. Like, they have not been LAFC. You're not watching the Galaxy right now and being like, wow.
Nope.
You're not there yet. They are winning. I want to see what they turn into. They're a little bit different, just more difficult to call in who they are and what they are. And I want to see what happens with them. LAFC, I do expect teams to start sitting deeper against them and making life more difficult. You're seeing teams now play the Red Bulls differently. It's one reason they're having problems. Now, it's a different issue entirely, but the Red Bulls are a known quantity. They've been a known quantity. Last year, the book was written in two different ways on how to deal with the Red Bulls. Chivas and Matias Almeida basically took their press and amplified it and added more chaos and defeated them in CONCACAF Champions League semis. Atlanta, and some other teams too, said, okay, we're not going to let you press us because we're not going to have the ball at our feet. Here, see what you can do with it. That's going to happen. Now they have to find an alternative. New England, they have a very identifiable style. They're just not that good at it. But they are what they are. They're going to press in a very chaotic way, and they're going to play very direct. And he used it to get 4 goals against Kansas City in that crazy one. And all they did was they put speed out wide. They harassed Kansas City when they had the possession, especially in Kansas City's defensive part of the team. And they just got speed wide and said, go. Here's a long ball over the top. Go chase it. Okay, how are teams going to deal with that? We saw what Atlanta did when they went to New England. Atlanta played differently against the Revolution because it was what worked against the Revolution. When teams have these identifiable styles, eventually they get figured out. And eventually they have to add more layers to their game. Happens to every big club in the world that has a style. Happens to every small club that has a style. Happens to every club that has a style. Eventually, your style is going to get figured out. and you've got to find alternatives. Right now, I think with Atlanta, they're still building that style, and they're still adding the layers to it because it is a very layered approach. It is a style that should require less dramatic changes when teams figure it out, but you will still need to make changes. This is, let's look at what Pep Guardiola's done. Look at how he adds these wrinkles. Do you see, John, whether it was Barca, whether it was Bayern, whether it's Manchester City, do you see them often completely change who they are in a match?
Completely who they are?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
The one they have done that against is Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool and that press, because they've had problems with it. And they've changed and they've done some things that are not very Pep-like. And it's worked sometimes and it hasn't worked sometimes. That's been the one that's been the hardest one for him to figure out. But against others, against teams that are going to bunker, what do they generally do? They say, well, okay, we're going to get more numbers forward and we're going to fight fire with fire and we're going to go in and we're going to beat your bunker. Because that's usually what happens.
And we've seen what Manchester City has been able to do over the last 2 seasons in the Premier League.
And now he's adapted, and this is interesting because Manchester City doesn't play like Barcelona did under Pep. And Bayern didn't play like Manchester City does, and Bayern didn't play like Manchester City does now, and he didn't play like Barcelona did under Pep. He's had to adjust to what those players and that culture of that league were.
And it wasn't an immediate thing.
No. He had success, but not the ultimate success.
Right.
Because it doesn't happen immediately. Bayern, he transformed the way that the game was thought about there. Did he win Champions League? No. And that's a mark that he's always going to have to live with. But he played some of the best soccer with Bayern Munich that they've ever seen. Quality-wise, and most people would agree with that. Now, there are people who don't like that style of play, and they'd rather see the Jurgen Klopp style, which is different. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. He had to adjust, and he talked about it in some of the different books and interviews he's given about the German game, very heavily influenced by the counter. And this was even before Klopp took it to another level, but the counter, the transition, bigger in Germany than Spain. So he had to adjust to that, and he had to add that in and add more of that into his game because that's what his players felt. England, different. The back and forth, the direct, the vertical play, more of that there than in Germany than in Spain. He's had to adjust because that's natural for his players.
And you think about the first year, and obviously everybody it was Guardiola comes into Manchester City, everybody's thinking, success will be immediate. No, it wasn't to the level that he wants it to be. And you're seeing how they've continued to develop and evolve and have the pieces put together. And I will still to this day recommend the piece that he did with Sky. I want to say it was during a Monday Night Football match, and how he broke down his system and how he wanted things to be done a certain way, and how the passing was supposed to be very, very tight. So if there was a turnover, then then you're pouncing on top of them immediately in transition and those kinds of things. And it takes time, and sometimes it takes faster. It takes a lot less time than it would in other ways. And so I've taken that example, I guess, and put it in my own brain and tried to apply it to Atlanta United in this case, with different personnel, with new personnel, with a new coach, with new ideas, and having things that are different, not entirely different, but slightly different. And it's going to take time for things like this to get fully integrated to the satisfaction of everybody there. And that's why I've kind of been the way that I've been this season when it comes to the on-the-field product and what it's been to this point, understanding that you only got the extra week to start your season, and you're starting internationally, and you're starting with new guys, and you're starting with a new coach, and all these kinds of things. And so I've been pragmatic in trying to see what Atlanta United is putting out there on the field, and you're seeing it evolve, and it's just going to take a continued evolution so it gets to where everyone's comfortable with it.
Let's continue down this road after we take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Tuesday Thoughts. We've gotten into the weeds on Atlanta United. That's cool. That's what Tuesdays and Thursdays and our thoughts are all about. Sean W. chimes in, the quality of service Joseph is receiving this season is drastically diminished. Yes, he's missed one or two, but the slow build-up allows other teams to sit on top of him. He's not a forward that moves laterally that much. He's reliant on the service he gets. I disagree on the moves laterally. I think if you're looking for him to drift out to the wings, no, that's not his game. But moves laterally inside the 18, yeah, he does that really well. He is reliant on the service that he gets. And I think one thing is you'd like for him to be not as reliant on the service that he gets and be able to do a little bit more. And I think he is. That part's good. Teams are going to sit on top of him more, whether it's slow build-up or not slow build-up. If teams are sitting deeper, the build-up's going to be slower. This is something that I think is a really big conversation at the moment, because I saw a lot of people in the match on Saturday saying, play faster, play faster, play faster. If they're dropping 40 yards from goal, and they're doing it quickly, they weren't up chasing and then dropping into a 5-4-1. They were staying in a 5-4-1 for the most part. If Atlanta got past basically Kai Kamara, who wasn't really doing a whole lot pressing anyway, it was 5-4-1. And they dropped deeper as Atlanta pushed forward, sure, but they were very organized in a 5-4-1 from the beginning. If you run into that with 3-on-9, with 4-on-9, just to go fast, ball's going to turn over, and yeah, you're going to have some numbers back, but the other team's going to also be very organized and together because they're compact and they're able to break faster. You're inviting problems that way. So it's not as simple as just go fast. That's it. Can't have slow build-up. Sometimes you have to have slow build-up. Sometimes that's what the game calls for. Did you see slow build-up play in New England?
Did I see slow build-up play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much? No, the New England, you didn't see as much slow build-up play. You didn't have as much possession in New England because that's what that game was. But no, it's a big difference. New England didn't sit back. That's the whole point here. How much slow build-up play? The goals that you saw.
The goals that I saw, that wasn't slow build-up, no.
The big chances in New England, it wasn't slow build-up play because New England didn't sit back. If teams are going to come out and play, you're not going to have as much slow build-up play.
No.
Period. You're going to be able to break them down. New England, you sliced through them with passes, and you created opportunities with Gressel running into space, with Martinez playing Gressel into space, with Barco running into space, with Villalba running into space, because New England came out and played. Let's see what Kansas City does this weekend. They've been shipping goals like crazy lately. 21 goals in their last 6 matches in all competitions. Yes, 10 were by Monterrey. Atlanta didn't give up 10 to Monterrey, by the way. Just keep that in mind. Nope. 10 to Monterrey. And second leg, Monterrey had a 5-0 lead. They still went in and scored 5 goals in the second leg. Keep that in mind. They also gave up 4 goals to New England. They also gave up 4 goals to San Jose. Kansas City is really struggling at the moment defensively. They're missing Roger Espinoza in a big way. He's out till the fall. They're going to want to control possession. Can they do it? Yeah, they have the talent to. Are they going to be able to against Atlanta? We'll see. This is going to be a very, very, very different game. It's going to play out differently. You're going to have different things at play. Keep in mind how the opposition plays and what that causes Atlanta to do when we have these conversations about it. Just keep that in mind game to game, because I think what you're seeing is long-term an Atlanta United team that wants to exploit the opponent's weaknesses or win the game at hand rather than have one way to play, and if it doesn't happen, then they have problems. I think that's what they're headed towards. You don't get there overnight. I do feel like there's been progress, and I know that word seems to upset people, and that's okay. It's completely fine. It's why we have these conversations about it, and we all see the game differently. We all have different experiences and touchstones. I just hope that people are not so, I guess, stuck in the way that they see this team through 7 league matches and 4 CONCACAF matches, that they don't think it can improve. They don't think that it's going to change and evolve and look different from game to game and things like that. I think it is a little unfair to think that way. And hopefully you stick with it and you keep looking at it and look for different things in it. It's an opportunity, I think, and I can tell you personally, I'm learning a lot about different styles of play this season. I'm digging deeper into, okay, Frank de Boer played at Ajax. Obviously, you have the Johan Cruyff, just DNA in your system. Okay, he played for Louis van Gaal at Ajax. Okay, Cruyff is on the left side of the Ajax mentality. Van Gaal is on the right side. They're in the same philosophy, but they have different approaches to it. Okay. If I remember correctly, Cruyff recruited De Boer to Barcelona, but then left, and he played for Van Gaal. Again, kind of funny how that works. But then Cruyff was a big part of backing De Boer to take over at Ajax as a manager after De Boer's work in the academy and then his work as the assistant for the 2010 Dutch team that went to the World Cup final. Cruyff was a big part of the overhaul at Ajax that, one, led to 4 straight titles for De Boer as the manager, and now has helped lead to what we're seeing with Ajax today in the semifinals of the Champions League. Because the academy part was part of that overhaul, because Ajax had gotten away from developing its own talent and more of just going out and spending money and getting guys and being a normal club with a smaller budget. So all those things are in what makes up Frank DeBoer as a manager, the way he sees the game, the way he feels about the game, the way he's going to solve problems in the game. All those things factor in. So I've been digging deeper and deeper and deeper into that. And then looking at obvious comparisons. Pep Guardiola played for Cruyff, played for Van Gaal, cites both of them as incredible touchstones for him in the way he sees the game. Now, he's taken things, of course, through his filter, and he does things his way. There's not this gigantic gulf of difference in the way that Frank DeBoer and Pep Guardiola see the game. How they implement that vision, we'll see. But the way they see the game, their touchstones are very similar. There's a lot of people who fall under that. So for me, I've been trying to just dig deeper and deeper into these things to learn more, to have a better sense of why is this happening? Why is this happening? What could be next? What can be better? And the things that I think are the two next pieces that have to be added in, the next layers, is when you dominate possession, when it turns over, that immediate press, that immediate win the ball back 3 seconds. Win it back. Okay, it's not, you can't win it back in 3 seconds, then drop into your defensive shape. But it's 3 seconds, win the ball back. And you should be able to do that because you're organized because of your build-up play. And the other thing is the movement off the ball. And that's the biggest thing, I think, from an attacking perspective that the team has lacked at times, is the movement off the ball. Whether it's, like we said, against Colorado, finding those pockets of space in between the lines. And if you don't get the ball there, then cycle. I think right now there's a little bit of, hey, I'm in the right spot, play me, I'm just going to stand here. Okay, I'm not getting played. It's too slow. The cycling is too slow. Make those decisions quick off the ball, and then the third man, because that's the hallmark of this type of play. The third man, the extra runner. Not always playing the shortest passable pass, making the third player come in, whether it's the big switch, which was on multiple times, and it happened some in the second half, but there were times where I thought Barco and Escobar on the left, and Breck Shea on the left too, had opened the field up, were in that spot asking for that big crossfield switch, and it wasn't on. It wasn't played to them. It was on, it wasn't played to them. The third option, that and the press are the two things that I think help unlock this team and take it to the next level. And those are things that take time. You want it to be instinctual. It's not quite there yet because you're asking them not just to keep the ball, but to think about how they're keeping the ball. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued by all of it. I love digging into this stuff. We'll do some stuff, especially with the lines tomorrow on the Whiteboard Chronicles over on Stoppage Time at 92.9 The Game. So if you have questions about that type of stuff, look, I think we're all learning because it is a different way of playing than Tata Martino had, although Tata Martino's influences are not all that different either. So it's really interesting to see all these overlaps. I'm going to be watching Tottenham and Ajax today because, honestly, what's really funny about this one is Mauricio Pochettino is a not strict adherent from the Marcelo Bielsa school that Tata Martino is also a student of, but he's there, and there's a lot of similarities between Pochettino and Martino and Bielsa. Different shades of the same color, but similarities. And then you have the Ajax school. So it's going to be and there's a lot of overlap between the two, but it's going to be very fun to watch with this one today. I hope it's a very good match. I don't have a dog in the fight. So as a neutral, I just want a high-quality, good match to watch. And I think we're going to get it because of the styles.
And didn't Pochettino also quote Toy Story yesterday in his press conference?
I missed that, but that does add to it.
So it's believing in your dreams and chasing after that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think he quoted Woody from Toy Story, or at least paraphrased Woody from Toy Story yesterday.
I mean, he could have quoted Eric Cartman. You know, I mean, from the infamous season 1 Beefcake episode of "Follow Your Dreams." Beefcake. Well, he got there later, but there was a very inspirational speech before that. That was very important. So Yeah.
So I'm waiting for Bobby Heenan. Who's the third man?
That's the thing, and it has to be unpredictable, because that's what opens things up. Teams are going to sit. Okay, cool. The prime example of it for me was, I will tell you what minute.
Was it the Escobar one?
Yes, the 64th minute. Go back on Fox Sports Go. You can pull up the replay if you're in the Atlanta area and you have Fox Sports Southeast. It's a late run from Escobar down the right. Barco held the play as the run developed and then played it in. That was a prime example of the extra man getting forward and unbalancing the team. And that's what they did, and it worked really well. So more of that, please, more of the pressure when you lose possession, because then you're not as afraid to lose the possession, I think, and you can take a little more risk because you know that you have 7, 8, 9 guys right there ready to pounce and win it back. And if you don't, then you have the tactical discipline to drop into your shape. That's the stuff that it comes with time. I'm excited to see it. I do think there is progress being made towards it. Kansas City is going to be a fun one because they're a possession-oriented team too. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with
38,000 injuries.
Yeah, I mean they're Peter Vermes is pretty rigid in terms of philosophy in how they play. They're going to be 4-3-3. Even when they've had to move pieces around, they try to play the same way. Now, over the last couple of years, he's went from being an aggressive 4-3-3 that's vertical to a 4-3-3 that dominates possession. That's why Dom Dwyer was shipped out. That's why other moves were made. Can they do that when Roger Espinosa is not in the team? We'll see. Can they do that? And they couldn't do it in the first half against New England when Ilie Sanchez was on the bench. Tried to give him a rest. It didn't look the same.
Nope.
We will see. But I think Sunday night is going to look very different than Saturday afternoon, the last 2 Saturday afternoons, because the opponent's going to play you in a different way. And they're at home, and they're going to have different pressures because of that.
Let's see. Trying to see what folks are saying in the timeline. Michael Head's actually listening to us from Los Angeles this morning.
Word. So the late start helped Michael Head.
Yes. And apparently they are painting women's national team players on sides of buildings as a part of the promo.
Very cool.
And it looks like Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe.
Kristen Press.
I
like it. I like those red kits too. I like both of the kits for the women's national team this summer. We're going to get into it as we get closer. I'm worried because the talent is really good across the board now. I think there's some teams, France, the hosts, Germany, others who are going to be difficult to deal with. And I want to see tactically what Jill Ellis and the U.S. women do. But I'm really looking forward to the summer with Women's World Cup, with Gold Cup, with a lot of storylines there. You always see somebody emerge out of CONCACAF. You've got some new faces, but
a slow summer for us.
Yeah, sure. You're expecting the U.S.-Mexico showdown in the Gold Cup that you want to see. And then Copa America with Lionel Messi trying to win a Copa America in Brazil. Would love to see that happen. And our Colombian friends, who this could be the tournament for them with all the hype on the hosts, with Messi maybe in his last Copa America. He probably play in 2020, but one of his last. He still doesn't have that trophy yet in his trophy case. He's got everything from Barcelona and European club game. Doesn't have anything with Argentina yet. That's a problem. But I think Colombia could fly under the radar and be a big problem at the Copa America. So you got 3 big tournaments, all kinds of stories. It's going to be fun, along with U.S. Open Cup for Atlanta United that'll be going on at that time, along with USL Championship. NWSL will keep rolling along, USL League One. You'll have USL League 2, NPSL, all the stuff going on. It's
all the soccer.
All the time, all the soccer. It doesn't stop. It's good. It's good. And there's lots of things to talk about, and we'll continue doing that. We're going to take a break, though, so we can catch our breath, so we can come back and continue talking about all the other nuggets from the weekend. Couple different games in MLS that I wanted to at least make a couple points on, and then look at the other games from the other leagues around the country and your latest news, and we'll be right back after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Still hanging out. We got a late start this morning. Mechanics. It happens. Getting brakes fixed. Roger Jordan Garage in town if you're in Atlanta. Highly recommended. They're taking good care of my Kia Soul today. Hopefully I get it back today. They're very busy. They're a very popular garage. Hopefully I can get it back today. That would be very nice.
Good work equals popular garage.
Yes, I am fine with not getting the car back today because the work is good, and that's the important thing. A couple more games in MLS I wanted to touch on. Montreal, they get another clean sheet. Not scoring a ton of goals right now, but 5 clean sheets in 6 matches. 2 clean sheets last week. Defensively, they're sitting deep. They're defending with numbers. They're getting a goal here, a goal there. They're doing this without Nacho Piatti. Keep an eye on the Impact. And if you want to beat the Impact, got to learn how to unlock the bunker. Can NYCFC do that this weekend? We'll see on Saturday. They play at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. That could be an interesting matchup. If NYC gets Matricia back and he can give you a start, I want to see the Matricia-Abear dynamic continue to build, and they're going to have to be dynamic to beat a Montreal team at home. Evan Bush is just killing it right now.
Just looking at the numbers that Chicago didn't have against Montreal. 7 shots, 3 on target. No corners, 7 crosses. And the match was basically 50-50 possession. Passing accuracy was about the same, just under 80% for both teams.
Montreal's doing the deal, and it's defense that's leading the way for them.
Raitala, Piet, Taider. They're doing it.
Well, Piet and Taider are more in the midfield. It's and, I mean, they're a part of it, especially Piet. Taider's the one who becomes a little more of the transition player, and he's really good at doing it. But you look at them from their last match, it was Lovitz on the left, it was Sanya on the right, it was Zakaria Diallo, who got hurt last year right before the start of the game. Remember the start of the season. Remember Montreal last year kept signing center backs and they kept getting hurt. Diallo was the first one right before the season. I think he did his Achilles. Then they signed somebody else and he got hurt a couple games in. They signed somebody else and he pulled a hamstring. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Yuka Rayatala has turned into a center back for them. I think his first game as a center back was at Mercedes-Benz Stadium last year, playing in a line of 5. He was the left-sided center back. So you're getting Sagna, Diallo, Rayatala, Lovitz as your back 4. You're getting Michael Azira and Samuel Piette in front of them. Tyder's the one who will break out to make it not be a 4-3-3 sitting deep. Tyder will be the one that'll link up with Maxi Urruti and Aquanquo and Biaha. He'll hop out and transition. But Piette and Azira is just a ball hawk. Piette is a very smart number 6 who's very defensive. So it's not an easy team to play right now. Chicago's just all over the place too. They'll look really good, then they'll look very pedestrian. I think it was Bobby Warshaw had a really good point. So against Montreal, they're going to sit deep. You see how the game's playing out. Bastian Schweinsteiger still playing as a center back in that situation. I think in those games are the ones where Veljko Paunovic has to get creative. I think Schweinsteiger is a center back at the stage of his career. I think that's where he needs to play. You play him in midfield all the time, he's going to get exposed. But in a game like this, where the opposition's sitting so deep and you need somebody to pick that pass, well, you can't just release him because then you're asking Kappelhoff to play by himself. You've got to, I don't know, in this one from the starting lineup, once you see what you're dealing with, and you don't do it in the first half, and this kind of goes back to the Atlanta conversation against Colorado, is when do you start getting risky? You don't do it super early. You grow into it. But if you're not making subs, I think you basically treat Schweinsteiger like an old-school libero in this case and let him step forward, and that just means that, yeah, you're going to have Diego Campos and Jorge Corrales sit with Kappelhoff in a line of 3, and are they comfortable doing that? Maybe you need to go bring in somebody who can do that and sit with them. But let Schweinsteiger go. He has to come back, and you have to get back to that line of 4 when plays break down, but you need him to go pick out that pass. Maybe it's just Dax McCarty dropping deeper and playing with Kappelhoff. Yeah, he's a short player. You're not going to play him as a center back on set pieces all the time and dealing with these things, but can you get Schweinsteiger forward more to be the guy who unlocks things in spots? I think you're going to have to in these types of moments. I think that's something they need to figure out. So we'll see how they handle that. The other game was Minnesota with the 1-0 win over DC. Wasn't pretty. Field is still taking shape in Minnesota too, so it wasn't the greatest of field conditions.
Especially with
it wasn't
the weather.
That bad. It wasn't that bad though. It wasn't as bad as it has been. Very cool moment, though, for Minnesota and for the league, and I thought ESPN did a great job with it at the final whistle and singing Wonderwall for the first time at Allianz Field, and just how cool that was. And then afterwards, Angelo Rodriguez, who got the goal, his kids were out on the field and kicking balls into the open goal, and the fans were going wild. It was very cool. It was a good moment for Minnesota soccer, and they deserve that after seeing some bad soccer for a couple of years and not in the most ideal of locations. They've got a place to call home. I think the Loons are a playoff team this year. I think they can be a team to keep an eye on in the West if they continue to build. They've made some good signings. They're not going to spend crazy go-nuts money. That doesn't mean you can't be competitive in MLS. And I think they can. I think they will be this year.
All right. We have Thursday thoughts. Thursday thoughts. We have Tuesday thoughts from the people on Tuesday. So Michael Head in Los Angeles, Michael Head had a question. He says, when a player is released to play for their national team, does the club get some salary relief for the time away from the club, i.e. does the national team pay their salary for that time?
No, it's not like that, because then you've got national teams making decisions based off, I don't want to call in this guy because he gets paid too much money. Salary is the salary. It's not like an MLS, or it's not MLS, NFL salary, where I think it is a per game check. I don't think it's structured that way. I think you're paid on a monthly basis during the season. So, and I think MLS contracts are year-round, actually. I think it's more the USL and lower division contracts that are monthly during the season. But teams don't get salary relief, but teams have insurance. And FIFA's actually part of this, where if injuries happen on international duty, clubs are compensated for that. So that part happens. And players do get paid for bonuses for wins. They get paid for making rosters in tournaments. They get roster like success bonuses in tournaments if you get to certain rounds or what have you. They do get time, like paid for time in camp, stuff like that, per diems, that type of stuff. But clubs don't get paid by federations for players getting called up, no.
Daniel Price at Daniel Price ATL. With the upcoming match compression, will we expect to see a lot more squad rotation? I cannot imagine anyone being able to stay completely fit for 7 games in 4 weeks. Who will we expect to see more or less of? ? #Tuesday Thought.
I think you will. You're also going to have potentially Ezequiel Barco go to the U20s with Argentina. You could have Andrew Carlton go to the U20s with the U.S., although that's looking less likely, according to people who read those tea leaves. The U.S. roster will be announced next Friday in the morning by Tab Ramos. So we'll be keeping an eye on that to see who makes it. I think you look at the 18 from the last few weeks, and you look at it especially against Colorado, and you start to get some hints on who some of those guys could be that rotate in. Florentin Pogba is a guy you signed for these types of moments to potentially play as needed, although you've got Michael Parkhurst as well to rotate. Pogba, I think, is more of your bench option in these rotations, not a starter per se. Dion Pereira.
Gallagher.
Well, I'm getting there. Dion Pereira, who's made a debut in MLS, who can play out wide in the 4-3-3. He can play out wide on either side, really. He's a great 1v1 player, which is what you're looking for out of those positions. John Gallagher can give you depth on the right side of the front, as well as a right back situation as well. So keep an eye on those guys. Andrew Carlton, if he doesn't go to the U20s, I think you have to consider him. Gordon Wild has been part of 18s. I think you have to consider him. I think you're going to have to see some rotation. You just don't have a lot of options with that many games.
And Shiva wanted to know if we saw the thoughts from Bobby Warshaw about Atlanta United.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I think Bobby's really good at picking the alternative viewpoint to spark conversation. I think he did that a lot last year when things were good. He found negatives, and right now people are very negative, so he's finding positives. I think he's very good at that. I do really enjoy his 24 thoughts on 24 teams column, because it's a good way if you don't get a chance to watch every team and dig deep into it. He does see the game in a really unique way. I don't always agree, but I like when he brings some of these different viewpoints to it. Look, I think if you've heard me, I'm not that far off from where he is. I see progress. I think you are heading in the right direction. I think you have a lot of talent. I think the building blocks have been, laid down, and you're adding layers. I don't think he's wrong. I think a lot of the conversation around losing the locker room or losing players is highly speculative. When you hear the players in interviews, you're not getting that sense. When you hear them after training during the week, I don't think you're getting that sense. I think you have a team that's fighting. When you see a team that's not fighting, that's where you have concerns. Yeah, Pity Martinez frustrated. Fine. Wish he didn't, show it that way, but fine. He's frustrated. He wants to play better. Good. Play better. He has to be better. 100%. He is still adjusting. All that's true, and this is where it's not an all or nothing thing. Pity Martinez is still adjusting. Pity Martinez is not 100% comfortable. I think he's probably a lot closer to 90 minutes fitness, but is he completely there yet? Maybe not. All that's true. Still has to play better. Still has to be sharper. Still can't turn the ball over as much as he did in the last match. That's also true. He's frustrated. Good. He should be. He needs to play better. Okay. Use that in a positive way. Push forward. Gressel and Pitti disagreed on which ball should have been played where. I think they both had complaints. Both probably had some valid complaints. Both probably had some complaints that were frivolous. Happens. This is a team that wants to win games. They want to be better. They want to be sharper. Good. They're not quitting. They're not laying down on each other. They're not, not working for each other. That's the stuff that you're looking for here. I think the narratives that are out there about, you're losing the locker room. You got players who don't want to be here. Speculation. And I've seen the comments, and we had some comments yesterday with Caleb Cook on the Overreaction Monday stuff. And one of the things Caleb said at the end was, if the team was playing better, if the culture was better, you wouldn't have the rumors about players leaving. You had them all the last 2 years. Joseph Martinez was linked to Tigres. I know he was linked to Club America. I want to say he was linked to Tigres at one point. Miguel Almiron was linked at the end of 2017. Martinez was linked to places. It's happened. It's because they're a story more than there's a problem with the culture that the Nagbe thing has popped up. And the Pity Martinez stuff, I mean, he just got here. Like, come on. That feels like
that's
a reach.
what Doble Maria does.
Yeah, it does. That's what they do. I don't see any of that yet. I just don't. I see a team that's trending in the right direction, not in the wrong direction. Just where I'm at right now with it. So if you disagree, that's cool. We'll see where we all get to at the end. And it might be different than any of us are seeing. Things might take turns. That's what happens in a season. It's very rarely in a straight line. It's very rarely obvious who the best team is from day one, and they play the best from game 1 to game 40, and they win the tournament, and there's no drama. Very rare that happens. We'll see.
Basically, the short version from Warshaw, for those who haven't had the chance to see it, he says that they're very much fine, moving in the right direction. I'm going to paraphrase because it's 2 paragraphs.
Very much fine. I like that.
Very much fine, moving in the right direction. 2 phases to becoming an effective possession team: learning how to keep the ball and learning how to turn the controlled possession into goal-scoring opportunities.
It's a really good way to put it.
Clear. Yeah, pretty clear. Atlanta have nailed the first one, leading the league with an average of 61% possession per game. It's the second part that's been brutal, his word. Possession has mostly been slow and stagnant, been less slow and boring the last 2 weeks.
True.
Big question is whether Petit, Joseph, Tito, Julian et al. Can figure it out how to create opportunities. I'm going to put my chip on the yes square. The only question I'm worried about is whether Frank DeBoer can keep everyone bought in until it happens.
I just don't see the risk of keeping people bought in. I'm not seeing that right now. Maybe I got blinders on. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but I'm not seeing it. I'm just not. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But the part about you start with learning how to keep the ball and how to stay organized to take it a step further in how you keep the ball, and that does stem from a defensive standpoint. You want to be organized in transition. All accurate. The next wave is that stuff we're talking about, the third man, the extra run, those types of things to create the opportunities. And you're creating more opportunities in the last 4 matches than you did in the first 3. It's a good sign. Needs to keep getting better, needs to keep creating better and better chances, and you need to convert on them.
And you just retweeted something that I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, it needs to happen more and more. Tampa Bay Rowdies are allowing all spectators for their first Open Cup match, which will be against an amateur team, either way, depending on who wins, Lakeland Tropics or the Villages. Free at Al Lang Stadium for that. Good decision by the Rowdies to get a good crowd in for a game that sometimes it's a harder sell. Sometimes it's difficult to get all the word out. It's free. Come out this date. Come out and see the Rowdies for the first time. It's cool. Now use that as an opportunity to convert new fans.
And you had some nuggets that were in the queue discussing things in this country and in other countries.
Yeah, a couple things. Red Bulls are moving tickets for this weekend. They're moving tickets because Zlatan is coming to Red Bull Arena for the first time. I believe I saw that there's not a whole lot of tickets left, and maybe the tarps are coming off for this one. So keep an eye on Red Bull Arena this weekend as the Galaxy head to town. That should be an interesting match anyway. CONCACAF Champions League second leg of the final will be tomorrow. We'll have a preview later today with one of the Parceros.
Oh, there you go.
From Parceros United. From Siempre United as well. Getting into that one, give you a primer to get ready for it. But Jair Marufo and an all-MLS crew will be in charge of that one. I think that is a very good appointment. I think Marufo will do a fine job in the cauldron that is BBVA Bancomer in Monterrey for the second leg. Rayados have the 1-0 lead going into that. And since we're talking about international club soccer and tournaments, this one's back in the news. It seems like it's every couple of months that this pops up. Globo Esporte in Brazil reporting that CONMEBOL is in talks to include Mexican and MLS teams in the 2020 edition of the Copa Libertadores. Haven't heard that one in a while. It's been a couple of months.
No, cyclical.
You know, our buddy Danny said, you know, do MLS teams want that smoke? They should. It's going to be a lot to go with that smoke because it's not going to be easy, and the travel is going to be crazy, and everybody's going to have to get on the same page in how you deal with that. But if MLS teams want to be the best, if they want to be better, they have to play these matches. And yes, if they get the opportunity to play, they should play. You get invited, you need to go play. And then you figure out how to play and play better and be more competitive and spend more money and build deeper rosters and all those things. You don't say no because, well, our rosters aren't good enough. Then you're scared. Then you're not pushing forward. Then you don't have ambition. If you get invited to play in the Libertadores, you say yes, and then you sit down and you say
yes.
You say yes, and then you say, okay, we need to spend more money. And no, not just with the teams that are in Libertadores, because then you get competitive imbalances. We need to spend more money in MLS. Owners want to spend more money. You can spend more money. Do it. You can have more of a roster. You can have more senior roster spots. You can have more reserve and supplemental roster spots. You're going to have to do these things if you want to compete. But if you get the invite, you go do it because that's going to bring in more money, which is going to allow you to add more talent. And you need to do that anyway. If this gets you there, do it.
When Gozer the Gazarian asks if you are a god, Ray, you say yes.
What?
When you're asked if you want to be a part of the Copa, you say yes, Ray.
What was the reference?
Ghostbusters at the end.
Ah, okay.
When they're at the top of the building and the demon asks if you're a god, and Ray and Dan Aykroyd's character goes no, and then like the fire and the lightning bolts shoot out of the hands, and then Ernie Hudson corrects Dan Aykroyd in that situation.
Ah, okay. There you go.
Be Ernie Hudson. Be Winston Zeddemore. When asked, you say yes, Ray.
You take the opportunity and you run with it, and you use it as a way to leverage getting better. And the league needs to continue getting better. So, yep, you want that smoke. And, yeah, you're going to take some beatdowns, but you're going to get better. Because, honestly, outside of your top clubs in South America, there's a lot of countries and a lot of clubs in South America that are taking beatdowns from Boca Juniors and River Plate. You're never going to know until you're there. And it forces you to spend more money and up things. Cool. I'm in. Let's do this. Come on, Globo Esporte. Make it happen.
Yeah, really?
I think that's the show.
I think we're cut. I think we're caught up on the Twitters, yes.
Yes, that is a show. We will be back tomorrow, normal time, 9 a.m. For a Wall Pass Wednesday. Get your questions in. Get with us on Twitter, @SoccerDownHere. If you've not signed up, and I know a few of you have, over at prizepicks.com, there is a game on Wednesday. I don't know if there's going to be a board up for that from an MLS perspective. But over at prizepicks.com, you've got the NBA playoffs, you've got Major League Baseball, you've got your esports. If you know your esports athletes and you know who to pick, cool. It's daily fantasy. It's simple because you're picking over-unders on the point total that Prize Picks sets for the day. It's so easy to get into. I was unsuccessful last weekend because I had faith in Wayne Rooney and Luciano Acosta. I was very disappointed by them, but it happens from time to time. If you sign up and you use the code SDH, you will get 25% of your initial sign-up up to $1,000 matched. Wow. You also get a free 2-pick $25 play. And they run different specials. Last night they had a big special that was unveiled for baseball. Follow them, Prize Picks, on Twitter. And the iOS app is out. The Android app is very close. And it's a local Atlanta company. So local daily fantasy, get on it, prizepicks.com, use the code SDH, and get some free chances to win some cash. And MLS will be there this weekend. We'll talk about, when those numbers hit, we'll talk about that on Friday, what our pick of the week is for Prize Picks.
And then go the exact opposite if you're listening to me.
Yeah, don't listen to John's picks. Like, if he tells you to go over, you go under. See, it's easy.
Correct.
Because it's over-under. It's simple.
Yes.
There you go. Prizepicks.com. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata.